Hello, viewers around the world. You're welcome. Good morning, good day to you, wherever you are. My name is Godwin Iweajunwa, and we're here on our Friday global audience program called World Affairs, SSM World Affairs. And I'm here with my colleagues and coordinators from different parts of the world. In faraway Lagos, Nigeria is Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. Ogbeni Olayinka
Hello.
Raji, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, viewers across the world. Welcome to our Friday program.
Thank you very much, Raji. You're welcome. And joining us in faraway Toronto, Canada is Sajo Chukwu. Sajo Chukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mark Godwin, and good morning, Raji. Good morning, viewers from around the world. Welcome to our Friday show, International News. It's going to be a fantastic one today.
Yes, sir. International news, and that's what we do. Gentlemen, first of all, I want to say we appreciate efforts being made by you all to give this update. Right here, close to me, let's begin with that. Right here, close to me is Netherlands. Netherlands is under Nigerians are in Netherlands now. Right about now, we have a huge number of Nigerians and the president meeting with the Dutch Prime Minister Rutte, and they are discussing clean energy. They say they are discussing quality lithium products that will power clean energy for Europeans. George and Raji, our president is in Netherlands and discussing clean energy to power electricity. Meanwhile, we have darkness back home. We are in dark, but we are going to help the Europeans with their electricity. Gentlemen, let's look into this. So this morning we got some feedback from the entourage in Netherlands, and these are the words of the president. He said, we are taking holistic view of the world order. There is a tremendous opportunity between Nigeria and Europe across different spheres, more especially in solid minerals. And he said, we have high-grade lithium deposits, and we want to partner to give the world some of this energy required exploits. He said there is excellent value addition opportunity in Nigeria, and soon greater things will be exploited in different areas. He also talked about the dynamic youth population. He says the country has a young population, 70% of the people are under the age of 30. And he says Nigeria is open to work with the Dutch, the Netherlands people. So, gentlemen, let's start with this. Our country, our president is in Holland, Netherlands, and discussing how to bring clean energy, clean electricity. So, George, what do you have on that?
Well, on one side of it, I think on the business aspect of things is we will consider that to be some kind of good news, if indeed it will pan out to be a productive meeting that will end up actually we providing all that in situation. But that's the hypocritical aspect of this whole entire thing. Look at Niger Republic. They are depending on Nigeria to supply them power. But for many, many years, they were supplying France with all kinds of, the France will come and take, the minerals, a dime a dozen, leaving these people poverty-stricken and then dependent on Nigeria for energy. When the coup took place, Nigeria had to shut down the electricity, the power supply to Niger, and they were in darkness. Isn't that kind of backwards? And that's exactly what we are talking about. We have become nothing but, you go, you take your minerals, you take it to there, you're making promises, but you don't do anything with that. Why can't they come to Nigeria, build a plant over there, make a deal with these people. While we are giving them this mineral to supply them light, they will build a plant in Nigeria and use it also to help us out. There can be a trade by barter situation, so we can have light in Nigeria. We are being also used again and again and again and again, and we don't even understand how less they think of us when we think this way. And we think we're going around, just making all kinds of noise. We are connecting with businesses while your people are home, are still backwards, almost like in the 40s. In the 40s, not even in the 50s, in the 40s.
Let's bring in our man, Godwin eBay from Moscow. Godwin eBay, you're welcome to News Echo Friday World Affairs.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Legends.
Thank you.
Viewers for tuning in.
Welcome, welcome, Godwin.
Okay, Godwin, you just came in on time. We're talking Nigeria's president with the Dutch government. Our president is there in Holland. In Netherlands, and he's there to talk business, like he said. We got some memo this morning, and he says they are talking clean energy with quality lithium that Nigeria could supply to the Netherlands. Raji,
yes, sir.
What's your take on this? Clean energy, lithium, we have in large quantity. We have it, and we are going out to give it to some other people.
Sometimes I wonder about my country and about the African mentality. Regularly, does Nigeria say that 1 out of every black person is a Nigerian? Just silly statistics. With that power, what do we do with it? Well, what do we do? And we are discussing clean energy with Holland. Nigeria is nowhere near even thinking of clean energy for itself. Nowhere near it. I would have expected that being in that great country, that agricultural country, Nigeria would discuss more about agriculture, especially about the dairy manufacturing process. Yes, rather than clean energy. We are still, our mentality is still on export of raw materials. Export of raw materials. Even though I agree with you that, look, we are nowhere near. Nigeria cannot even start thinking of clean energy now. And before Tinubu came in, he had mentioned that, look, Nigeria is actually a gas island, and will produce our energy with gas. So, and there's what amount, even the manufacturing process of extracting lithium, converting it to lithium-ion batteries, is so energy dependent that we shouldn't be discussing all these things. In fact, it shouldn't be a major discussion point in Netherlands. If we really needed something, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Point, yes.
You said some real strong things there. Dr. Godwin, how do you think that we having all these things we have, and the man also talked about the youth number, that Nigeria is 70% young people under the age of 30. And all of these are good factors, believe me. But we're always thinking of, like George said, or Raji said, we're always thinking of giving out instead of using what we have to build this young generation, young population, build our country. All the gas, the oil, everything that we have, we keep looking for people to come and buy it, and they will now give us the byproduct. Is it not interesting, Dr. Godwin? Let's hear from you.
Well, it's interesting. Many of my fans, subscribers would be a witness that I released a video about solving power issues once and for all. And I propose, maybe I'll just quickly try and talk about it. I propose quickly electricity sector. I talked about power generation, distribution, transmission, the part that is government owned, private owned. I talked about what we generate, 11 gigawatts, as compared to what we need, 40 gigawatts. I used Russia and Nigeria to compare what is obtainable in advanced countries, arguing that the 40 gigawatt is a minimum and that really advanced countries will use up to 200 gigawatts. For example, to keep Russia economy, it needs about 200 gigawatts. Now, I made a table comparing the population. We have 219 million, generating 11 gigawatts, and Russia generating 144 million with 220 gigawatts. So we can see that the electricity generation per capita is 30 times more than what Nigerians are able to. And then later I talked about diplomatic achievements and other areas of improvement. But why am I talking about this? Just to you can go to my channel and watch that. But why am I talking about this? That when we speak about cooperation with Africa, we should understand that competition is good. We should allow. A lot of people tend to pick one side and say, oh, it must only be Sweden cooperating, or must only be Holland. I mean, we should welcome everyone who wants to do business with Africa. Competition is good. Secondly, we shouldn't be naive enough to think that all types of cooperation are the same. The main thing, the main straw that breaks the camel back every time is technology transfer. Nobody will want to transfer technology just to you just like that. It's a lot of research and development. It's a lot of patents. It's a lot of trade secrets. They need much more than morality, much more than rules-based order, much more than humanity, conscience, virtue signaling to pass over to you technological transfer that is worth a lot. So you need to really build that diplomatic relationship, those guarantees. You have to reduce political instability so that if they eventually strike a deal, the next administrations aren't going to come to torpedo it. And what many of these big geopolitical powers can do is by guaranteeing that their military is there, for example, or they have a base there, or they have some deal with you. For example, if they build a nuclear plant, you can almost not go to anybody else. You would keep on coming to the person who built the nuclear plant for you. So this kind of things are very necessary, but it's not going to be by PT and all these things. It has to be by real negotiation and real guarantees.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Can I say something also?
Oh, okay, I was coming to you, George. Yes, okay, go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Okay, it pins down to nothing but the power of negotiation. They come to you with all these promises sometimes, like China. If you do a study on China and what most African countries that have entered into, they will free willy give you, we'll build your railroad, we'll build your airport, we'll do this, we'll do that. But this is how much you're going to be paying us in terms of that. Do you know that most of the seaports in Africa are owned by China today? They have hijacked it because of the incapability of these countries to pay back China what they owe them. So what I'm saying is the power of negotiation. Now we have lithium, which is very good for clean energy, for building batteries and all those type of things. When you stand to negotiate because you have it in abundance, then when you understand, the power of negotiation, you can negotiate to the point where they have done it in the past. Where, okay, we will do this for you, and this is what we'll do in return. Maybe you give us this particular product, like what Niger was shipping to France for many years, but they were getting nothing in return. So that is the power of negotiation that we are talking about. If we become a producing nation rather than a consumer nation, like most of these deals that are being made, I can guarantee you part of the motivation behind it is we're dependent on oil today, but any other side mineral that is being exported is not being accounted for. Californium that is being taken from Sambisa forest, nobody gives account of it up until today. Most of the gold that is being mined in Nigeria become a state situation. Nobody gives account of it on a federal level. So, when you think about all of these things, it's very, very, it's a very discouraging situation.
Very discouraging. George, adding to what you said with Godwin, the man said that Nigeria has this number of people. 70% of the people are young people. Now, what about us at making these young people acquire skills in these different sectors where these minerals that we have these minerals in our home. Now, what about making these young people, 70% of the population, begin to acquire skills that will make us use this thing to better our
locally,
lives?
locally.
Don't even
Exactly.
use the word locally. For us, our thing. Reggie, yes. Is that not what should be the game? Is that not, because he also used that word holistic view of world order. So yes, there is a new world order coming in the world, and the game players will be those that understand what is on ground. Those that have acquired skills, knowledge, all these things that will now make us jam into this new world order. Go ahead, Raj.
Like I said before, one out of every 4 African is a Nigerian. And these are just numbers. What's the point of having 70% of your youths, of your population as youth, without any skills? Without any skills. And the education system is so warped, it's so distorted that most people go to school, they don't learn anything. So first of all, we have to fundamentally change our curriculum. What kind of education do you want to give to this group of people? Who are we going to start with? Those who are above 20 now, who cannot go back to school. What kind of skill set are we ready to give them? What kind of vocational institutions do we have? I remember in the old Western region, apart from the primary, secondary, there was also the technical schools. The technical schools that were so much that most people could not progress after modern school, as it was then called, will go to technical schools and gain some vocational skills. But we have a population of 70% youth without any skills, without any hope, and most of them just wake up in the morning and do a rise to all these politicians. And it's probably in the politicians' favor that you have a group of unskilled youth following them around.
Godwin.
So we have to do something seriously about this.
Thank you, Raji. Yes. Thank you, Raji. Godwin, on final on this.
Yes, I want to say something. Sajid talked about power of negotiation. Very good. I agree. You have to have a power in negotiation, but what is the power based on? I mean, you don't just come and say, I have power and I want to powerfully negotiate. Yeah, I mean, what gives that power in the negotiation is the leverage you have. If you have no leverage, you can yarn from, as we say in Nigeria, yarn A to Z. Nobody will take your words serious. So there are some countries that have taken drastic measures, like Burkina Faso. They ban all export of semi-mechanized goods, ban all export of meat, meal. To create that necessity is the mother of invention. If the local community is feeding itself, producing for itself, it's not exporting things, there's nowhere to export it. Instead, it's channeled into local production. Then the demand for the labor will increase. When the demand for the labor increase in this sector, then the educational need will become very expensive, and a lot of people will be going into that because they know it's a guaranteed sure banker that when you study that line, you get jobs locally and you help the economy. Sometimes you have to create that leverage. We have some factors working in our favor in terms of cheap labor, a lot of population, manpower. We can use it to assemble what we need, ban export, and the leverage we'll eventually create is when we have a very strong power in commodity market. If we must export, then we must have a stronger power, and then we have to also increase the value of trade in our local currency so that we shield ourselves from external inflation and from dollar changes and external currencies.
Wow.
So these are some of the things that we need to do to be able to have that leverage in negotiation. But when you are dependent, you are basically begging for people to buy your oil. You don't control the market. your people don't have jobs, then you don't have that leverage and negotiation. You can shout, you can scream, but nobody will take you serious.
Wonderful.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
I wanted us to move
Yeah,
on.
I know, but this is very important because this is dire situation in our country.
Yes.
Number one, you ask yourself this question. A few years ago, India used to depend on Nigeria to export their, bring their professionals to come and teach in our university, and they were so depleted, and they were such in a deplorable state. Today, China is going down. India is taking over. How did that happen? How is it that India can export a lot of their youths? They come to Canada and other places, gather all the knowledge, and locally they were being taught. They are the champions today. All the nations are depending on India when it comes to technology and everything else. This is how we need to position ourselves. We're talking about youths. The problem we're having in Nigeria today, and because of insecurity, is because of that. It's part of the major problem. When the youths are educated, they don't have anything to do. What do you think they're going to do? They will begin to gather guns and try to take advantage of whatever evil that they can do to make money to eat.
George, very good. Added to what you're saying, I've once said it here in this forum that the youth are not being intentional about this internet thing they are doing. I mean, Nigerian youth, they have skills in this thing. They are very good at doing this, all these their things they do, but we are playing with it, and they don't know that that's a big income for them if it's taken seriously. The Nigerian youth also are called Yahoo people, scammers. But do you know government could, like government said, leverage on that skill that they have? That's intelligence to do that thing they do. But they could be harnessed for good with that thing. But you see,
that's what India has done.
That's what India has done.
They are outsourcing to them right now.
Yes, they are sourcing to the world.
Many of them. Do you know that Apple products and all these major products that used to be manufactured in China, most of them are being done in India today. India is so positioned today that I am telling you, Chinese people, China is threatened by Indian progress. They are crying out. As a matter of, they want to pick a war with India simply because of how powerful they have become in their global influence. So Nigeria we need to wake up and start playing 60s politics.
Our educational system needs to be revitalized. India deliberately went into IITT and encouraged people to go into IT. In fact, acceptance into those colleges now is so competitive that before you can gain access to that school, you are also at par with gain access to MIT or Caltech.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
Our education system needs to be changed.
We
need to create that. We need to create that demand by stop kicking the can along the road and creating fake short-term solutions. Importing technology, licensing technology, exporting to later re-import high-value products. These are just kicking the can down the road. We need to create that need internally, that market, so that everything will fall in place, both the education, the labor, and everything.
Adding value to all we're doing. Very good, gentlemen. So, our viewers, that's it. Our president is in with the Dutch Prime Minister and in Netherlands, and this is it. We've broken it down. We hope his team of people are listening to what we're saying. It's not just about going out there; it's really strategizing. Listen to all what these gentlemen have put out here, guys. Let's go on to other stories making round around the world. But before we go, since Godwin is here with us on time, Godwin, is it true that Russia threatens to strike Poland? Information coming in says Russia is making some NATO nuclear weapons in Poland, and that's what they are saying. So we hear from you. I says the primary target is their plan. I mean, The primary target.
Poland and Finland.
Poland, yes. So Kremlin
And
says
Finland.
nukes are being deployed in their in the country for a primary target. That's how they use the word. Let's hear from you. What's that update coming? Where was that?
Yeah, first of all, Putin didn't say anything of this sort. It was said by our deputy prime minister.
Yes.
But it's not really a threat. Poland has openly said that they are ready to welcome nuclear weapons. And the nuclear doctrine of every nation, of all nuclear powers, is to attack, to allow or condone a nuclear attack if an attack on home soil is imminent, even if it is a preventive or preemptive strike, even when you have not yet been attacked.
Okay.
Now, that's why I'm against nuclear proliferation, because the more countries that have nuclear weapons, especially when they are close to each other with no buffer between them, it reduces the flight time of rockets, missiles, increases the chances of miscalculation. So it's what was said by the deputy prime minister is a statement of fact. If there's a preemptive strike according to nuclear doctrine of the US, of Russia, it leads to increased heightened tensions, and this is something we should really avoid. Because nuclear weapon doesn't need to arrive at target.
Amid that rising tension, amid that too, we hear that Russia's ally, that's Belarus. We saw the Belarusian president, Lukashenko. They said that Belarus has moved combat-ready troops close to the border of Poland.
3 hours response time.
Yes, that was on Thursday. That was yesterday. Time, yes. In readiness for a 3-hour response time. Yes. George, let me hear from you. What is all of this? Power show, NATO, Russia, power show?
Well, it can be called power show, but also it has very severe consequences if anything happens, because what you're like in line with that also, Putin had said something before about not sending some nuclear nukes into the moon or whatever they are, into the space. But I'm hearing yesterday, I don't know how true this is actually, it was being discussed yesterday, that now that they are planning on doing that, which is very, very dangerous, because with such, you can black out any nation or any group of people without, for them not to get internet or any type of,
Ariel,
low orbit satellite, target low orbit satellite.
Exactly. So, but anyway, all these things we are seeing is all in preparation for what is coming. I don't think any nation is going to release any nuclear weapon yet, but these are things that are heading towards that direction. And I believe that the end is near, because when they start talking about all of this, you can be assured that one day a crazy man can just decide, okay, if I cannot get it, let everybody perish with it. And that's exactly what they are trying to prevent. But look at what is happening now around the world. We are heading into a place whereby authoritarian government is very, very fancy these days. Democratic government, because they have messed up royally, is not being, it's not something that youths want anymore. They want somebody who will come and control them, and that's all going towards something, the way the world will end up, and it's going to happen eventually.
It's going to happen eventually. Reggie, the Russian deputy foreign minister, like Godwin is telling us, Sajay, said their patience is not limitless. He said if Poland takes that path of further escalation of plans, tension.
No, he said it will be a legitimate target. That means in the case of preemptive strike.
So, but do you think, Raji, do you think NATO will want to push Poland to do this?
What I don't really understand is the war baiting by NATO. By NATO, US will not allow anything close to its shores, and for more than almost 100 years, Cuba has been under embargo. because of fear of Russian presence. In fact, America has taken part of Cuba as its own permanent soil, Guantanamo Bay, and it's not allowing anything. So why is even Poland interested in getting nuclear weapons onto his land? Why?
And getting into
This kind of NATO war mongering, war baiting is indecent. It's indecent, and I don't know. I don't know whether the world is mutually assured destruction is actually coming in, because it seems as if America is so down that now he wants to take everybody down with it. That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
George is laughing. I know George will laugh at that.
Let me add something very quickly. Let me add something quickly. There.
Okay.
All nuclear weapons are usually strategic. Yeah, you have the tactical ones and we have the strategic ones. The strategic ones, these are some of the features they have. The first one they have is they have multiple independent warheads.
Mm-hmm.
All strategic nuclear weapons, both in US, both in Russia. They have hypersonic glide vehicles. They have low space orbit trajectory.
Okay.
And they have mid-air flight adjustment for those with cruise capability. Means that defending them is impossible. And they don't even have to arrive the target to cause a catastrophic geological crisis for all of humanity. Whether it explodes in the atmosphere or whether it explodes halfway or
land.
It doesn't matter where it goes. In the ocean, it doesn't matter where it goes. The wind will do the rest. The atmosphere will do the rest. So all this warmongering and cyber thing, we have to really think well about the consequence, because it's there for all.
But also, Russia and its allies need to also think well. I mean, let nobody ignite anything. Let's just begin to wind down on all of this.
I said everybody.
Anyway,
everybody.
Yeah, let's go.
Actually, it's NATO and US.
You remember what happened to Hiroshima?
Yeah,
remember what happened there? So so we gotta be very careful. But you know what? The point about it is this: some of these people are so bent on their ego that even when they see good, they are blinded by their egotistical positions and power hungry and all those type of things, and positioning themselves to the point where they want to be, whatever. And that's the fear there, because individuals can make a decision that can destroy billions of people, and that is where we are afraid of. What we're afraid of.
That's where we're afraid of.
And where you have a geriatric president who doesn't even know what a woman is, you are in serious trouble.
Okay, let's go on a break, guys. Let's go on a break. Raji's bringing up something.
Flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes is Africans in diaspora and back home leading English news network, one of the most respected and trusted sources for news updates on current affairs as it affects global Africa.
Schengen Story magazine is an African international bi-monthly magazine based in Milan, Italy, and founded in 2016. The publication focuses on personalities, fashion, style, entrepreneurship, and culture for Africans. Though articles on food, movies, fitness, music, travel, sports, technology, and books are also featured. Our lives full of best stories. A lot can happen in a month. Expand your mind, change your world. Get Schengen Story magazine's full editions. Celebrating Africans make an impact. Read better. The Inside Story. Your fashion magazine for a better lifestyle. Inspiring stories for you. Your monthly dose of entertainment, a better mind keeping you updated.
Hashtag Schengen Story Magazine. Get
You're welcome back, viewers. You're tuned into SSM Global News Update Friday World Affairs. Gentlemen, I would have wanted our correspondent from the UK to have been here for this one, but we will just run through it. Yesterday, we saw something not too good coming from the UK, the Nigerian community there. 2 years after arriving in the UK, a Nigerian abusive husband beat the wife to death with the son's skateboard. The abusive husband beat the wife with the son's skateboard while police were outside waiting for permission to enter from their superior. Crazy story. Let's bring out a photo on that. Now, George, we are seeing more and more of these things happen. More and more. That's the family there. That's the man and the woman that is dead now. Olubumi Abodunde. Olubumi Abodunde Abodunde is the name of the man, and the woman's name is Taiwo. Taiwo, 41-year-old woman, was squashed, and now she's gone. So the Suffolk police is giving up this update, and we're looking at a lot of things. They said Abodunde, the man, Olubumi, has shown history of jealousy. He's always suspecting the wife, accusing her of having an affair. At the point, he was even monitoring her movement everywhere she goes. And police gave him some distance. You know, normally when this kind of thing happens, domestic violence, they will give the person involved some distance. Don't come near this person, 50 meters away, or blah, blah, blah. But he was breaking those rules and giving excuses. He needs to take his phone. He needs to get his clothes. He needs to do this. Now he has killed this innocent woman. Gentlemen, let's talk about this. George, it was in the United States. Now it is now.
You see, one of the things that we need to actually, especially when families are leaving Nigeria, they have been in Nigeria, married in Nigeria, understand the culture of Nigeria, the male domineering type of attitude in Nigeria, and then they go to a country whereby most of the time the women can easily find a job and the man might not even have a job. And because of the way things are in Europe and North America, it's easier for her to go and find a job cleaning or find a job until she actually uses her own education to get a job. So what you're seeing here is lack of understanding of the way things happen in North America. Now, I think it's a failure of the system, because if they have given this man restriction order to go into the house, and there he's finding excuses to do so, they could have picked him up. These are signs that would have saved this woman's life. Because if the woman had called and said, yes, if the woman had called and said, oh, he's here again and he's giving excuses, they need to pick him up. And given that restriction order, since he was all tight, look at the failure. Look at the main failure there. He was restricted from going into that house. And when the police came there, they discovered that he was in the house. If it is in North America, they would have broken that door. Because already he has failed. He's violated the restriction order. And they're still waiting for what permission to get in there? Come on.
That's a failure.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
That's a real failure, yes.
Yes, Raji, go ahead. What do you see about this?
Yes. No, I'm just agreeing with Sir George. But by the time the police arrived and he was inside the house, they should have broken down the door and saved the woman. And they waited 25 minutes. It was as if they were waiting for the woman to kill the woman before they took action. It is a serious failure. It's a serious failure. Yeah. I don't want to think it was deliberate.
Okay. It was not deliberate. I don't think it could have been deliberate, but
yes. Now, one thing that has to be said is this: there are challenges which people face. Foreigners, George has always said this. Foreigners face challenges when they come to a new area, a new place. The best way to navigate through some of those challenges is hanging on, if like couples, because nowadays we have so many Nigerian couples, African couples relocating abroad, and we're same story too, you know. So as couples, they should understand that you need to navigate yourself through. It's not easy for anybody. It's as hard as it is for the man, same as for the woman. So it's not a matter of putting your venting your anger on the other side, thinking yours is worse and hers is better. Godwin, in the UK yesterday, the police came out to give us this information of the family of Abondude. The man squashed the woman's head with the son's skateboard. And it's a story. What the story so far is: jealousy, suspicions, accusations of having an affair, all these things. What will you add to this? What will you say, Godwin?
I would like to say it's terrible, it's inexcusable, and it's horrible. I really don't understand what men, not that I don't understand, I find it ridiculous that for men to think that like violence is the way out to solve relationship problems. But nevertheless, I want to say that, you know, women they can use their speech, talk to friends, have emotional support, and vent out their angers through speech. And men are less likely to stalk, have less people to deal with, to really open up. Men prefer to share stories of victory, success, not stories where they were dumped, or stories where they are controlled by their wives, or stories where their wife feeds them or supports them. Men don't share this kind of stories when they meet. So this kind of thing leads to bottled up anger, which can present itself in many ways. It's inexcusable. I'm not giving any form of excuse for that, but there always a root cause. Even people who have mental issues, you always can find some root causes in some cases. And there are also men who go abroad who are not well educated on the landscape. For example, they do not have prenuptial agreements in places where that severely, do not favor them in the law, where the woman and the child will take priority, or in cases where in the family court, you don't even need to commit a crime. The likelihood is enough to kick the man out of the house.
Straight up.
Just the likelihood.
Thank you.
So in such kind of situations, you have to be able to protect yourself. When a man is in such a kind of situation where he's unprotected, he has nobody to talk to, then there's a tendency that violence might creep up. So,
thank you, Godwin. A viewer here, FN Akanu, he says it's absolutely ridiculous that they were waiting for permission to enter the premises. Ridiculous. When it was known that he was there. This is crazy. A case of the computer says no. And
that he wasn't there. Yes.
He adds to that, he says, because they are black. Now, I was going to say this, George. How come
that's what I said,
waiting for permission from the police, the superior of the police, and they were hearing the news said they were hearing the bang, bang, bro, and they were still waiting for. I mean, somehow these police are accomplice to this thing, this crime.
I think it's not. I think I don't want to think it was deliberate, because it's pointing as if it is deliberate, that they deliberately waited for the act to be completed before they went in.
Can you imagine
How could they wait for 25 minutes?
How could they wait for 25 minutes? Anyway,
25
viewers
minutes.
Listening, viewers watching, this is the story we're hearing from the UK. The Abodu days, and the sad story now, she's gone. 48-year-old Taiwo is no more. The husband is now facing the law for this. And it all comes back to the same thing about abuses, assault in the home. And George is going to start the program on that. George, I hope you still have your plans. We're starting the program on
Yes,
that.
we're going to start a program on that.
And
Yes,
yes,
Fiona,
we'll be
yes.
talking relationship
And
and all that. Go ahead,
we
George.
need to extend our sincere condolences to the families that are involved, because when things like this happen, the victims are either the children, the parents of these, both sides, So our sincere condolences, and that the Lord will help them to strengthen them in this time of bereavement.
Thank you
very
very much.
Unfortunate situation.
Very unfortunate. All right, guys, let's move on. Viewers, you're still tuning to SSM Friday Update Global Affairs. Let's come to Tanzania. Who has been to Tanzania here? Yeah, that's a beautiful country. You might want to go someday.
Yes.
Yes, Tanzania is going through some real strong situation now. As you can see, the flood is taking over the whole of Tanzania. It's causing landslide, and it has killed 55 people as of yesterday. But the
155. 155.
Yeah, 155. Sorry, but the prime minister says that number might increase. The rain in Tanzania has become very extreme. There's flood everywhere, and the country is now being all over. There are losses of life, destruction of crops, homes, citizen properties are destroyed, infrastructures as like roads and bridges and railways are being destroyed. Now, this is the predicament in Tanzania. Beautiful city, gentlemen. It's in East Africa for our viewers that are listening. Tanzania is a country in East Africa known for its very vast, wild areas. It also has what they call the Big Five. The Big Five is elephant, lion, leopard, buffalo, and rhino. And Tanzania has all of that. It has that Kilimanjaro National Park. But now Tanzania is in waters everywhere. Guys, who has that story? Godwin,
I didn't make it to Tanzania, but I was in Kenya, and
Okay.
I enjoyed my stay. I know that Kenya and Tanzania, they often argue over who is the inventor of Lion King. And because yes, Hakuna Matata and all of that has traces from Kenya and Tanzania. But it's a very sad thing what they are going through. It's a beautiful country. I mean, judging from Kenya, I assume it's also a very beautiful country. My heart goes out to the victims. I understand that based on the height of the flood, which I can see, most of the casualties will be children because of their height. And for them to stay afloat. But we also have to talk about what is the infrastructure level over there in terms of drainage. It's one thing for rain to fall, but what is the drainage? Is there no drainage? And what are the standard of building? Like when you're building in places that are flooded, you have a different standard for foundation. And all of that also has to be looked into to understand why the death toll is that high and how to prevent it in the future. So once again, my heart goes out to the victims, and I hope they find such.
But very good tip there for them to consider as the year go by, since they know it's they could have this heavy rain. They should really think this point you just gave, Godwin. Nice. Okay, let's move on. Let's not dwell much on Tanzania. You guys have said what you know. Argentina, far away South America. Argentina, right about now we're talking, there's huge protests erupting in Argentina. And it's because of a proposed cut. The government plans to cut university funding. Take it off. Argentina. Are you guys following the Argentina story? So, no, that's not Argentina. So Argentina is going through some real strong protests now. There are pictures, mass pictures from these protests, crowd of people marching, engaging in display of music and dance and brandishing different kinds of posters that is advocating for protection of their education. Argentina is protesting. So the protest is not only in Africa, most times all over. Now they say government is cutting the educational funding. Sir George, you're close to them.
Yes.
What did you hear about?
I was there a couple of years ago. I was in Argentina a couple of years ago. I had a wonderful time. Anyway, and yeah, I see that's part of the situation there when decisions are made without that is very unpopular, and especially the youths are rising up, because when the youths are just going to school or doing their own thing, and the people that are in the government or the leaders are just making decisions that might not favor them. Well, this is part of that what we call civilization. People can rise up and say, no, thus far no further. You're not going to move forward with this. So go back into your parliament and consult with one another. Let's find a better solution. And but the beauty of this is you see that is happening there. You might end up at the end of the day not see any death. When Nigerians rose up on NSAS, thousands or hundreds of students, young people were massacred, denied that they died, later on went behind and started appeasing the families, and even some cops. Some of those young people might still be in the mortuary right now because they were burying masses of them. So, but this is the difference between some of these developed countries versus what you see in most African countries. So anyway, hopefully they will come to a common level of understanding that will be profitable for everybody.
Common level of understanding, profitable for everybody. Guys, let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead. You have.
No, I wanted to say something about the NSAS protest and the so-called massacre. Okay. Argentina has gone through worse. Argentina has gone through worse operations than Nigeria has ever gone through. So let's move on.
Okay. Yes.
In the days of Pinochet,
I know. Yes, Argentina in the 1978.
Thousands.
There was a mass protest that killed a lot of people.
Yes, unaccounted for murders and abductions. Yes.
So comparing the two is not really. But we understand what George is trying to say.
Yes.
People,
so let's
time.
We're talking about.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Now, not then.
Let's move on. Yes.
All right, guys. Let's move on to Haiti. Also, not too far away from Argentina, is that poor country called Haiti. As at last night, the Prime Minister Ariel Henry has resigned, and the transitional council has taken power. So, but what we're saying is the gangs are still ravaging the whole place. Now, will the gang now sit down and negotiate with this transitional council and let peace just be and things begin to work out well? Godwin, are you following Haiti? Are you following what's happening?
Yeah, but not so closely. When you it's just the consequences of regime change operations and external influence in their domestic politics from their strong big neighbors. But like when you force regime change, you always create a power vacuum, as we see. Even Milei, as we talked about, is also, while he was voted by the people, it shows the limits of democracy. When you cannot easily remove somebody you installed, but you have to wait for 4 years. For example, you can come under all sort of fictitious manifesto and promises, but when you enter, bam, it's the end of the story. To remove him for where you can't, you have to wait for a very long time. Milei actually won the president seemingly won the popular vote. But we can see that their policies don't really go line with the people, and it's sad. I also see some dichotomy in news reporting. When the current leader is favorable or supports the West, like in Milei's case and the Haiti's former president's case, he's a saint. His atrocities are not reported. But when they are no more friends with the West, or they want to join BRICS, then every single mishap they do is carried all over the popular platforms, and goes viral.
That's human for you. That's human.
Just
for you. Yes.
Well, listen, it's a very sad story in Haiti. You see, because part of the problem that has existed is the foreign countries. That country has been mortgaged by France and US for many, many years. And most of the leaders were not even elected. They were all, selected and installed. And this is part of the reason why this man was refused. But what you're seeing right now, even this particular group that were appointed, to select their leader, part of the alias barbecue, the man who is, the leader of the rebel, is saying, unless we are involved in the process, we don't want it to go on. And then because they wanted to make sure that it's not going to be an international influence on who is going to lead them again, let it be the voice of the people who is going to select their own leader. There is a popular guy there that they want to be part of the, who they actually want to be their leader, if democratically elected, but part of the problem, the rebels are saying, no, we are refusing international influence anymore in our selection or appointment or election of our leader. We want to be involved. So he just stepped down, because he was appointed. He was installed, as a transitional. Yes.
Yes. That's Henry, Ariel Henry, the man that just.
Let me just chip something very quickly.
Okay.
If you tell some countries like, I don't know, who do I use? Oh, let me say use Ukraine. If you tell Ukraine that all you need to be prosperous is just to be located near the United States, to share a common border, and all your problems will go away, they will tell you, of course, that's all we need. But you can see a typical example of a country. It's not about your proximity, whether your leader is installed by a party like by external power. It's all about how you are able to self-determination and the resolve to take all means to secure leverage so that you can have that power of negotiation, as Sir George has said, and to be able to negotiate in your own interest. And obviously, this is what we are saying in Haiti.
Thank you.
Okay. Recently also, listen to this. Listen, this is very important. Recently, a group of people are going to the, international court to force France to pay back $200 billion to Haiti that they believe that was, basically siphoned and stolen from them. And I don't know how the outcome has been. I don't know if anybody read about that, but recently, I think it was a few days ago. So these are the things that some of these countries that are doing, hijacking, countries like, the so-called third world countries, just siphon everything out of them and impoverish them to the point where, look at the state, the welfare of that country right now is so deplorable that I believe that France ought to pay that money, and they need to be forced to do that. Where they're going to get the money from, I don't know.
Raji, go ahead. Raji, your volume has gone off.
I don't.
Yes. Okay.
I think it was on the phone.
I can't hear you.
Yes. So the information we're getting is the economic minister Michel Patrick. Michel Patrick has become the interim prime minister, and we are looking at him having a sit down with all the barbecue, all these gang leaders, let them come to a truce and understand how to move their country forward. So that's on Haiti. Ariel Henry has resigned. He actually should have done this last month, but he didn't. But now he has officially resigned as the prime minister of Haiti. Thank you, guys. Let's run through this. We all know the story of the Me Too movement. George, you are there where it's happening. Now there's a guy called Harvey Weinstein. You all know Harvey. Trying to bring his picture here. Okay. Now something is happening. Something strange is happening. A New York court is overturning Harvey's conviction. So that means that probably Harvey might come back, and this won't be fair to all those that were giving the allegations against them. So we're seeing this happen. We're hearing this now from Harvey, from New York. George, do you have any story on this?
Yes, I do. Listen, Yeah, New York, because there were some weaknesses in loopholes in the case itself, so it was overturned, but it's going back to court, but it's not going to come out because in Los Angeles, actually, yes, in California, he was also charged and he received 16 years there. So that one is still there, so he's not coming out. So he will still be jailed while this particular case is going. They're going to go back to court and they're going to have to retry it, because of those loopholes and mishaps that took place. But he's not coming out. He's going to be in jail because if they bring him out from this one, California will pick him up and jail him too because he got 16 years there. Yes.
Okay, let's go with this. That's okay. Thank you. We want to come to another one. Blocks away from the White House, United States students are standing steadfast with Gaza. Who's following that news? Yesterday, we saw strong protests right in front of, not too far away from the White House. And the students are in solidarity with Palestinians. They are camped there outside Washington. And that's a university called George Washington University. They are making arrests, but the students are still standing very strong. Raji, do you have any story on this?
Not much, but that I'm glad that the protests have been sustained for so long, in spite of all the restrictions and the arrest and the prosecution of students on various campuses. I'm very happy that it's still ongoing. I'm happy that it's still ongoing.
Listen to this.
Sorry, George.
Okay, go ahead.
Godwin, the chant of free Palestinians were hovering the whole U.S. capital city. Free students, professors, even professors were with them. I saw the video and I saw some lecturers, activists all joined in. Now, what do you think is happening? Do they have the complete story? Are they being real, or because also somehow it affects them or something? Godwin?
Yes, I do not take sides between Israel and Palestine. I love both countries and I wish them well. But obviously, the killing of civilians in Gaza, it's not helping to reduce anti-Semitism. Instead, it seems to be bringing a lot of people together, to people who naturally wouldn't even like to be in the same room, to condemn this stuff. Obviously, we also have condemned the October 7th, but we also said that it didn't begin on October 7th, and the two-state solution is what we believe in. We hope that Israel and Palestine will be able to resolve their differences and for lasting peace, because we love both countries, and really, I don't want to take sides.
Wow, intelligent. Now our man is growing in views. Nice, Godwin. Nice one. That was said well. George,
the point is this. The point is this. We condemn October 7th. We condemn it completely and absolutely. But we also condemn, not taking in consideration the innocent elders and children and young men that are being massacred in that place. We condemn it. But we also have to make sure that these youths that are going out there to, shout free Palestinians, they need to also come out and say, let Hamas release the hostages that they have. How long would they hold on to those hostages? Most of them are already dead and unaccountable for. They can't even account for them. So when you are, if you want to be balanced in your views, just put pressure on Hamas, release these people so that they will come to the table to discuss. Don't tell me you come and kill my people, hijack some of my people, you're still holding them hostage. How are you going to be able to, appease Bibi to say, okay, let's stop and talk when you're still holding hostages? He will look weak. He will not do it. So what I'm saying is, when we are protesting, let's be balanced in our views. You condemn this and also condemn that, and then you come to the middle and negotiate. You can't be on one side saying, oh, free Gaza, free Gaza. Free the hostages. They need to free the hostages. These are humans also.
George, we hear you very well.
Sorry, let me just add one thing very quickly. There was a prisoner swap. yeah, it's not the equivalent. Like you cannot like as much as I would like the hostage to release, but it's not equivalent to say because we want to appease BB or we care about his emotions, that's why it should be the basis for release. On a humanitarian, it will be good for exchange to occur. There are lots of Palestinians in Israeli prisons who are rotting for very minor crimes like throwing a stone and all that. You can propose something that is equivalent. It should not be based on how the leader feels. That's what I believe. I mean, I believe they should.
No, no, you have to understand that Bibi is a military man as much as he's a leader. He's a military man. So whether you like it or not,
you're just giving excuses.
So it's Hamas.
You're just giving excuses.
Then also, listen to this. You're giving him the excuse that he needs to remain in power, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's exactly it. You're giving him the excuse to continue to remain in power. So what are you going to do?
All right, gentlemen, while this is all happening, also take note that number one is the Houthis are still targeting ships at the Gulf of Aden. Take note also that pro-Palestinian protest also continues in other parts of the world and in US. And take note also that Gaza is still a problem. They are trying to get food to children, while Israel,
people are starving,
is planning to invade Rafah. These are some of what we are watching. Rafah will be blasted any moment from now.
Northern Gaza as well is still there. You know, it hasn't been resolved. And the thing is that this saber rattling, like there was once upon a time, NATO's strength and NATO's speech was enough to guarantee peace. Once upon a time, it lasted 20 years. But now it's not that anymore, and they have to come to terms with this reality. The Houthis don't give a hoot. Houthis don't give a hoot. Houthis don't give a hoot. I mean, sorry, I didn't even think it would sound that way. But I mean, like common Houthis don't give a hoot. You know, you get what I'm saying, right?
But that's a fact. Houthi is ravaging hard now. They've extended their attack to the bigger sea. They're going Gulf of Aden. They are expanding, and very soon they might be coming close to George's place too.
You see, but the problem is this: whatever they are doing is completely and absolutely condemnable, because it is the people that are suffering. The leaders are not suffering. See, because when they do this nonsense that they're doing, gas prices increase, food prices increase all across the board. The world need a little bit of rest from all this nonsense. But if you ask me, I think that these rebels need to be clipped from the bud, because it is the people that are
to the US.
Forget about forget about all that. That's a one-sided story.
But George, Houthi doesn't give a hook like God is.
But they need to be clipped. They need to be clipped.
You know the funny thing? Now they are coming to the Gulf of Aden. You know they are coming through this backside, and soon they'll be by the Pacific Ocean. And those guys you don't want to mess with them.
No, they can't get to the Pacific.
Okay, let's see. I mean, these guys are moving very strong.
No, they can be okay with the Indian Ocean, but they can't get to the Pacific.
Okay, let's pray.
No, they can also with Iran's cooperation affect trade along.
That's what I'm saying. Iran's support.
They could cause instability in Iraq and basically
the Houthis are backed by Iran.
Lebanon.
George would have given us updates on former President Donald Trump's immunity talk, but we will be watching that by the week, and we'll come with more updates on that. Gentlemen, thank you.
The trumpet shall sound.
Thank you. Viewers, you have been tuned in to SSM Global News Update, World Affairs, and here with us has been Dr. Godwin Ibe from Russia, Moscow, Russia, Sir George Chukwu from Toronto, Canada, and our man Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. I want to thank you guys for
have a fantastic weekend, y'all.
Yeah, you have a fantastic one too.
Have a lovely weekend.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you. Till we come again. Bye-bye.
Bye.